Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. For more than 150 years, ours has been a congregation of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes for our world, and your story are welcome here. And our doors are closed because our hearts are open, living our values of care and compassion. You can stay connected online through Sunday coffee hour or small groups throughout the week. Families can pick up spirit kits with themed activities each month. If you're a newcomer, you can visit our website and there's a visitors form there. You can sign up to find out more about our church and how to get involved, including newcomer classes that we are holding virtually right now and videos you can watch about our history. Or you can contact the office at any time to get connected to these or other activities in the life of the church. We also have Wednesday forums every week at 6:30 Wednesday evenings. This week we have a special guest, Chris Brenna, who's the director of Revolutionary Earth, which is a Rochester organization working for sustainable environmental planting and earth care and justice work here in town, with several members of our church who've recently joined and participated in their work. So Chris will be joined by Ani, who's a youth here in our church, who serves on their board, and also Gus Braga, our worship associate today, who has worked with Revolutionary Earth as well. So you can join us for this wonderful forum on environmental justice this Wednesday at 6:30 online. Today's offering will go to support our church, including funds to support those in need of emergency financial assistance. You can give at uurochmn.org/give. Thanks for your generosity. And a thank you to our guest musician, Ellis, who was with us in person last year and joins us virtually today. Ellis is a UU from Minneapolis, and we are so grateful for their music. Ellis, thank you. And a special thank you as well to Dennis Warner, local author, for joining us for the Time for All Ages, a special story today along with Amy Nelson. Thank you. And this Saturday night, don't miss it. You may have gotten a save the date card in your mail or seen it in the e-news. We'll have a special variety show with new and a reprise of the variety show from last year for the kickoff of our annual pledge campaign. So join us Saturday night online. It's a YouTube premiere like we do Sunday services. You can find more in your e-news or check our website to find more and join this festive kickoff to celebrate generosity and the vibrancy of our church. We hope you join us on Saturday night. And finally, in the words of the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, minister of this church in the 1870s, may our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together.
This is the Unitarian Universalist Church. This is the Church of the Flaming Chalice. This is the Church of the Open Mind. This is the Church of the Loving Heart, where friends come together and share.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope y'all are doing well, hanging in there, finding joys around every corner that you can. I'm so happy to be able to join y'all this morning, just for a little bit, even virtually. I can't wait till I get a chance to be there in person with you in Rochester. I love your community there, and just know that I'm sending lots of love, and I'm singing all the way from Minneapolis. Oh, yes. Today, I met 500 crows crowded in the trees in my front yard. On the bare branches, they looked like leaves flying around. I was amazed. It sounded like a crow convention, like something big was going down. or some kind of argument, or maybe they were singing. And so I closed my eyes to better hear the crow chorus, to see if I could catch the beauty in their sound. Oh, they were singing out loud, such a clear and pure emotion. I felt moved, not even knowing what their music was about. Oh, yes. Love, oh, I am part heartache, I am part joyful child, I am a grown-up that's still growing up, and I don't always have it figured out. To tell you the truth, I'm still searching, trying to find that bigger light. Oh, I want to break free from all this suffering. I want to learn how to enjoy my life. So I close my eyes to better hear your heart beating, 'cause in your arms I feel relief from the despair. I wonder, how can I hold on to this feeling? Or can I listen to my own heartbeat and hear the music there? I'm looking for a melody that will break my heart open wide. I want to sing with the angels now. Don't want to wait until I die. No, today I met 500 crows.
Early last week, I was walking along Bamber Valley Road stoplight intersection towards our UU church. At about 2:30, a car driving close by me in the opposite direction had a young adult angrily scream from his window, "Go back where you came from!" I was startled, but not fearful as I had been in the past. This is not unusual. I've had many obscenities yelled before, people physically acting with aggression because of the color of my skin. My van has been keyed, dented, and window broken. I think it's because of the stickers I proudly advertise and live by. I wasn't sure if I needed to be worried or take more precautions like I did in the past with these behaviors that had happened frequently. After sitting with this experience for a while, I spent a few hours talking with my brother, my friend who is a psychologist, our lovable church member George Thompson, my wife, and the police. I researched some protective sprays against attackers like different maces, peppermint, and bear spray and such. I thought, what could protect me from one attacker versus several? I've been attacked up to 4 people at a time. Would a spray go far enough, wide enough to disable an aggressor? I almost decided to buy a mace, but the police officer said it affects attackers differently, some reliably, some not, and I shouldn't buy it because mace causes nerve damage, and if I use it against an attacker, they could sue me. I told my brother I always carry handcuffs and nunchucks in the van, and he said, watch out, check with the police if it's legal to carry and defend yourself with nunchucks, or you might be arrested. They're legal in this state. And I thought, I'm not a person of violence. Then this month's theme came in the nick of time. Beloved community. Author Andrea Hawkins Campbell exemplifies beloved community in this wonderful foresight, saying, "We are the heretics, the outcasts, the walkers of our own way, the transgressors, the trespassers, the passers-by, the cause takers, the defiant, the compliant, the friend, the stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic." Beloved community. It also includes what Reverend Luke powerfully reminds us so well at every service, that precious breath we take at every moment. Our gracious Mother Nature, that forms from the beginning of human life, has unselfishly given us oxygen. The boundless beauty of colors, plants, flowers, animals, trees, weaving in the paths of winter, spring, summer, autumn, and fall, showing us that everything and everyone in our world is connected and cannot survive without the other. Beloved community. Reverend Rebecca Savage dynamically says, and I would like to think here at UU also, that we are united in a radical love that thirsts for restorative justice, with a spirit of humility that transforms our energy acts for justice, a chalice of audacious hope. We listen deeply and reflect wisely. Mark Morrison Reed insightfully says, "We're not struggling for justice on our own, but as the people of a larger community. This knowing is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see that all that needs to be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our visions widens and our strength is renewed." My beloved UU community, as Kimberly and Tom Zach Carlson so beautifully says, we are love without fences. Our arms are open to endless possibilities. We remember each one of us has a precious gift to offer the world. We are one family, a heart home where we can nourish our souls, where we can be free in all the challenges we face. I don't live much in fear anymore, because I know, as Kristen Harper echoes, that we inhale compassion, march with indomitable courage, grounded in unyielding hope, and we exhale the fear, selfishness, and separateness to find oneness, somewhere between the noise, somewhere within the silence of our next breath.
I'm really excited for today's Time for All Ages. We have a special guest with us today, Dennis Warner. He is a Minnesota author and singer-songwriter, and 12 years ago next month, way back in March of 2009, Dennis was here where he shared his story, Beads on One String. And this is what he'll be sharing with us today also. It is from a pre-pandemic performance he did of Beads on One String at the Paramount. I hope you enjoy it.
We're all beads on one string. Every man, every woman, boy and girl. Beads on one string. We're one world. I touch, you touch, and we feel so much. We hurt and we heal. Dream. We plan, sometimes scheme, how we love to eat, and everyone has to sleep, 'cause we're all beads on one string. Every man, every woman, boy and girl, beads on one string. We're one. Cry. Guess what? So do I. We cough and we sneeze into the same air. We all breathe. We trust. We give. And we die after we live. We win. Sometimes we're gonna lose. We're wearing the same shoes. Oh, we're all beads on one string. Every man, every woman, boy and girl. Beads on one string. We're one world. We hug and we need. We cut and we bleed. Somehow we discover we're so much like each other. Oh, I say yes we are, yes we are. We're all beads on one string. Every man, every woman, boy and girl. Oh, we're beads on one string. We're one world. One more time. String, we're one world, one world. Oh yeah. Woo.
Wasn't that fun? I hope you have that song stuck in your head all day long, because I know I will. I really enjoy how it shows how we're all connected, but also lifts up our differences. If you haven't seen the book, we do have some here at the church library, and I encourage you to get in touch with me and see about checking it out, or they're available on Dennis's website as well. The pictures are really fun and inclusive, and remind us that we're all part of this great, beloved community.
What makes you happy? I want to know. What makes you high when you've been low? Do you have a problem you can't handle on your own. Together we are stronger than we ever are alone. 'Cause I got you, and you know you got me. We have so much going for us, baby. We got love, and we are still young. We can change our world for the better. Oh, come on, yes. Do 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 do. There's more to this life than seeing all the troubles. We're gonna work them out. Oh, we are. Half the battle is changing how we fight. Remembering the love helps us see eye to eye. 'Cause I got you, and you know you got me. We have so much going for us, baby. We got love, and we are still young. We can change our world for the better. Oh, come on, yes. Do 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 do. You and me, we can change the world. Sing along with me. Do 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 do. You and me, we can change the world. A little church duet. Do 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 do. You and me, we can change the world if we join together. Do 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 do. You and me, we can change the world with loving each other. Do 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 do. Ordinary love. Do 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 do.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. We are still physically separated, but seeing a light in the future as we look forward to being together again. For now, we continue to gather in this virtual way as we create a place of communal caring and connection. Be enriched by the virtual presence of each other and draw yourself closer into the heart of love at this time of service and reflection. In this time together, we ask that our minds be open, our hearts welcoming, and our arms embracing. Here we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Marge Dalen, serving as our caring coordinator for the last 2 weeks, arranging care for our members and friends in need. Linda Thompson will take over tomorrow for the next 2, and we thank her for that. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And during this time of increasing needs in our lives and in this community, we encourage you to reach out for support and help if you are experiencing hardship. Many of us may need additional care, whether it is personal pastoral care, grocery delivery, or an errand run. And we encourage you to reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. We thank all of you who have served our congregation in this way over the last few months. In this community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person here has value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those whose lives are touched by sadness, by illness, by worry, or by loneliness. And we revel in those who are celebrating joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all. May all of us find comfort, hope, joy, and healing strength in this community. It is with great sadness that we share the passing of Julie Gilkinson's brother, Charles Chuck Bischoff. Chuck, age 78, died peacefully very early Friday morning, February 19th, in Birmingham, New York. Julie donated a kidney to Chuck in June of 2008, and she is sorry she will no longer have him as a source of their family history. We hold Julie and their family in our loving embrace as they mourn this loss. And we hold in our hearts Kathy Strobel this morning. Kathy's mom, Joan Sally Lamarca, age 90, passed away in St. Paul on February 1st after a long, full, and beautiful life. Kathy shares that final goodbyes have been difficult, and that is so understandable in these tender days. Please hold the family in your embrace. And as we round the corner of uncertainty, we continue to focus on reaching out to all of those around us to let them know we are still here and still holding and supporting them as we continue to face challenges in our communities and country. Cards and phone calls can help lift up those you love, and we encourage you to support your community and local businesses as we start to reopen. May the faith and the spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Sit deeply in this time of meditation, this time of prayer, here in this community of love and justice, hope and grace. Know that here you are named and you are known as beloved, as sacred, as welcome. Take a deep breath again. Feel below you the earth with its ancient turning, and above you the sky and the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you here now, this moment, this breath. Invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life and source of love, God of 1,000 names and beyond all naming. Some months seem a bit harder than others. Some seasons of life seem a bit harder than others. Some times of waiting can make us question our resilience. May we find the reserves that we need these days to keep our souls rooted and free, knowing that doom can always and is always at hand in some way for some of us. May we find when beauty is always at hand too, or laughter, or kindness, or joy, or brief moments, glimmers of hope. May we remember when we can't find that hope very easily, it's okay. There's nothing wrong or deficient with us when it's hard to find or notice or remember. But may we remember there's always possibility to be reminded that we are worthy, that you are worthy of love and of hope. You are worthy of taking care of yourself and being taken care of by each other. Reminders that it takes constant vigilance to notice beauty and joy, that it's always possible to start noticing something new right now, with every day, with every breath, taking what we need when we need it, caring for each other and ourselves. And we hold in our hearts this day all those who suffer in mind, in body, or spirit. I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your own heart this day in joy or sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all those names, spoken and unspoken, and for many others, may we all be held in love and grace. These words come from Rachel Carson. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night, that spring comes after winter. Amen.
Tell you a secret that I've learned. Nobody knows everything. We all get caught up in what we think and believe it's the truth. But mostly we don't have the answers, and life can feel like an unsteady boat, drifting away from the land, making us feel alone. It is love that will carry you home. It is kindness that holds back the storms around you. Patience, sitting right beside the doubt. Oh, the only truth is what we do with right now. Something I finally come to realize, well, everyone has to compromise, and we can't do it all at the same time. It just doesn't work. We can't spend our whole lives worrying about things out of our control. And then we find that life was built for change, and we have to let it all go. It is love that will carry you home. It is kindness that holds back the storms around you. Oh, it is patience, or sitting right beside the doubt. Oh, the only truth is what we do with right now.
The first reading entitled Mid-February by Anne Campanella. The day is warm and dank as early summer. Crows scream and pitch in the woods like the ruckus of old women fighting for the shreds of their lives. A sudden silence, then the hum of a black-winged cloud oozing through the naked sky, and the ruckus begins again. Under the layers of winter gray, the farm is pale and muted. The barn doors are shut tight. The only animals in sight, an earth-brown squirrel and these harbinger birds. I'm waiting for the sun to shine again, to learn how to unfurl my heart in its warmth. These days, neither long nor short, nor bright nor dark, wet nor dry, fill me with a sadness I cannot name. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, a day of love and chocolate. My father, born 81 years ago, always bought red cardboard hearts full of truffles for my mother, my sister, and me. Now he's gone. This morning, the doctor taps his pencil against the screen. A 6-week ultrasound. There, that's the heartbeat. A tiny flutter outlined by gray. The second reading is an excerpt from Here For It by R. Eric Thomas. The problem is doomsday isn't coming, and I don't think we can turn back the hands of time or whisper to the cloud dust as much as I'd like to. I think we're obsessed with dystopian or apocalyptic scenarios because despite their darkness, they're comparatively easy outs. Actually getting up every day with all the fears and tragedies and challenges and potential joys of being a human in regular, old, neutral, smelling, depressing times is hard enough. But it's what we're given. Flowers and sunshine and pus alerts on our phones and midterm elections, pop-up restaurants and flawed history books and strangers in offices who become part of our lives. There's fighting for justice and being brokenhearted about deaths that could have been avoided and being terrified about bringing a kid into this world and being even more terrified about leaving a kid in this world and trying to figure out how to wake up every day, not thinking that the world is going to end, even though it will. I'm here for that. That mid-topian life. How are we supposed to live without a meteor bearing down on us? How are we supposed to find the best parts of humanity without a brutal regime at the door? How are we supposed to tell people we love that we love them, even if we're not 5 minutes from being destroyed? That's the challenge of being alive.
Maybe you've seen the picture or the video, or you can imagine it in your mind, of a young child at a dinner table, the family gathered around in a prayer or a blessing before the meal, hands clasped, brows furrowed, and eyes closed. And the young child, in the midst of it, as the prayer just keeps going on and on, kind of opens one eye, looks around, and grabs some food off the plate and eats it, closes their eyes while they chew. And as the prayer and the blessing continue on and on, they do it again and again, quietly, slowly, covertly. This happens a few times. It reminds me, every time I see this little video, of the intensity of it all. Of all the things gathered around that table, around our lives, the intensity of all the things in this world that we're needing to care for and to worry about and to work for, all of which matter a lot and are important. And sometimes in the midst of all that serious attention, we just need to take a breath and glance to the side and reach out for sustenance. Reach out for something that nourishes us. Reach out maybe just for something that is about joy, that tastes good, that makes us happy. Because we know that joy is as essential to our well-being as food, as air itself. It also reminds me of some ways of people emerging from times of despair or isolation, tentatively moving towards something that will nourish them, unsure, a bit unsteady, either from a long Minnesota winter or the isolating months of a pandemic, coming out slowly as if through fog, trying to remember as if our senses have almost forgotten what warmth feels like, or what hugs feel like, or what hope feels like, something that I'm not sure we've been able to feel, always fearful that something else will be a disappointment. Mostly we don't know the answers, writes and sings Ellis today. Like beginner's mind in Buddhism, this posture of humility, not knowing the answers, knowing we have so much more to learn and to know. Again and again, sometimes it feels like an unsteady boat. And then the poet writes today, under the layers of winter gray with the barn doors shut tight, we might regularly be needing to wait for the sun to shine again. Or as she writes, learn how to unfurl our heart in its warmth. Doom and despair are regular and have seemed extra regular these days. The feelings of dystopia, the world going to hell in a handbasket, and in so many ways it has been for a long time. I'm trying to be hopeful these days, cautiously though, always playing the mental skeptic, not trying to get hopes up too high to be disappointed again, but I'm hopeful we're moving in the right direction, trying to learn again how to unfurl our hearts toward the warmth of sunshine, for the little flutters of hope surrounded by gray. And the hard thing is, there isn't an on-off switch for doom or for pain or grief or oppression. It keeps showing up. The uncertainty of what may come hurling in, what could happen, that despair and harm are always possible. Pain like an arrow, tears like raindrops. The hard thing is how not to live in the either or. That either this world is a horrific dystopia or act like this world is perfect, everything's fine, this utopian life. But we're in some kind of mid-topia life, where both and the complexity of life and living are all present. And are we present to them is the question. And then the question is how to live toward joy and sunshine when there is no guarantee, no certainty that despair might not just be right around the corner. It's a popular phrase you may know, it is what it is. It's a phrase that one of my colleagues really bristles at, wrestles with. She would often say, it is what it is isn't true. It is what it is pretends we have no agency, no ability to change, no possibility for growth, no obligation to do something about what is. And I think that's true. Perhaps a better, more nuanced understanding of it is necessary. It is what it is as simply an invitation to name the realities so we can better understand how to address them. It's like naming something that is broken or wrong or challenging, or naming a feeling within us that can ease the tension simply by the naming of it, noticing it, giving language to it. Like when something goes wrong in a conversation or a presentation, something isn't working the way it's supposed to, makes us a little uncomfortable, but we don't want to say anything. Nobody acknowledges it, and it's just kind of uneasy for everyone. And then finally someone, probably not a Midwestern or Scandinavian, says something like, that's not working, or that wasn't right, or that was wrong, and we all kind of nervously laugh, and then we're able to settle in differently because we've noticed it. It's been named. We can acknowledge it. We gain a little clarity about what's scary about it, if anything, or what made us nervous. We notice it rather than just thinking, what in the world is that? That's a mid-topian type of life. Or a phrase that maybe some of you older millennials or Gen Xers might know, a semi-charmed kind of life. It's living in between, naming the reality of hard things, living in the middle, in the both and. That the world, like any good spirituality or theology, is never either or, clear cut. But the threads of joy and pain and heartbreak and healing and possibility and loss and grief are always wrapped together, layered together to make this life what it is. The potential for disaster is there, but also with it the potential for joy and deep and abiding love. Gus shared a story with us this morning. The sharing of that story in and of itself is a gift to our congregation, a powerful and poignant reflection of how complicated it is to be human, to be in community, how complicated it is to try to find beauty in the midst of doom, to live in this mid-topian life, especially for folks of color and folks who are on the margins, where the worst of humanity still show up hurling hurtful words out the window. The story he shared, just to name it, and how he shared it is immensely gracious, an invitation for us of taking an expression of the worst of our humanity and finding within it and after it the good of spending time with good friends and loved ones in conversation who share our hopes for a world transformed. He refused to let those words or 1,000 other experiences similar to it break his commitment to finding love and joy and grace in this world, to lean into the hard work of creating beloved community when it is not easy and the humanity of others is often questionable at best. It's also a reminder for us to remember we are not in some overly super woke, inclusive, immune from racism Northland, some safe union land away from the ideas and histories of racism, some moral high ground that helped bring down the Confederacy. Teon Coleman, a Minneapolis-based writer, educator, consultant, writes about her experience deciding where to study for a master's writing program, either Alabama or Minnesota, assuming Alabama would be the more racist place. She writes this in A Good Time for the Truth, a compilation book, one of our common reads this year. And after deciding and describing on the smaller, more subvert experiences of racism in her life, she writes this: "After enough microabrasions, I longed for the Confederate flags of the South, because at least the South had clear lines of demarcation and warning. In Minnesota, there were only smiling faces and open classroom doors and a stinging, persistent coldness that let me know that I was in a place that wasn't really welcoming. I failed to realize," she writes, "there are Confederate flags everywhere, even in places where we can't see them." Naming something that we know is there, acknowledging something that we can sense, but that maybe isn't always overt. Sometimes it is. There are Confederate flags flying down 16th Street every once in a while, too. For some, this is all experienced as the blunt impact of a literal yell out of a moving car. And for others, it is a reminder, for those with privilege and white skin, a realization of our own complicity sometimes in age-old systems of oppression, or assuming everything is fixed or it can't happen here. It's important that we both acknowledge good progress when it happens, but not at the expense of truth-telling around so much work to do. We have histories, of course, on this very land that are quite complex and woven together, layered with complexity, of the removal of indigenous people at the height of the Civil War, especially in this Northland. I'm reminded of in my hometown of Mankato at the height of the Civil War, 1862, Union soldiers approved by Lincoln during a war to set enslaved people free, 38 Dakota, hung in the downtown of my hometown in public. Yes, there are complexities in that story too, but the hypocrisy of values is breathtaking. Unless we think the more north you go, the more free people are and have always been, immune from these histories, some absolved, pure history, we know that's not even close to true. Perhaps there are hard lessons to remember about how those histories of oppression and discrimination linger and are still so present. Hidden attitudes, hidden biases, even unconscious, can be more dangerous than when they're out in the open, clearly showing that there's a Confederate flag here. You have a pretty good idea of what values lie behind that. But if there's no indication, nothing out there telling you what to expect, how do you navigate that space? Gus's story is one of immense resilience, a refusal to move toward violence or hatred, moving only in the direction of love and possibility, of restoration, truth-telling, toward beloved community. Actually living and getting up every day, writes R. Eric Thomas, with all the fears and tragedies and challenges and potential joys of being human in regular old depressing times is hard enough, he writes. But it's what we're given. Flowers and sunshine and push alerts and midterm elections, broken hearts about avoidable death, terror at bringing a kid or leaving a kid in this world. He says, figuring out how to wake up every day, that's the challenge of being alive. That's the challenge of being alive. To find the resilience in the stories of survival, how those moments where evil and doom show their face with brazen boldness, how those moments don't define us, and yet they do. To know how and when they define us, how resilience lives within those moments and responds, especially from those who face it on the margins every day, literally on the side of the road a few blocks from this church. To find the way community can form and inform us, not only our moral compass and its need to be constantly refined and adjusted, but also our perspective of experience. To name and know and pay attention to the stories of others, the stories on the margins as true and painful, and the sharing of those stories, receiving those like sacred, living scripture. And not only just paying attention to the story, but how it implicates us in our living, what it demands of us in our actions and our intention of what we ought to learn and reflect on and how we should act and where we can grow and for what we do next. How do we pay attention? We know this, that each of us in different ways, for some it's the direct impact of oppression each day in large and small ways over a lifetime. For some, it is learning from the stories of others and learning our own stories, unpacking our own identities in relationship to each other. We know that in this life, within our own bodies and souls, we hold it all. Tears like raindrops, pain like arrow, joy like fountains. We are intertwined, interconnected like beads on one string, knowing that we are bound together, that our liberation is bound together, that beloved community must recognize this Mid-Topia life and world, that things aren't all good and things aren't all bad. Life is both. And just as our world is a mixture of all this human messiness, so is our hearts. The reality, bound together in our own souls, is grief and joy, pain and love, the need for furrowed-browed intensity, and the need to open our senses and reach out for nourishment and joy, remembering that joy is essential to this life too. And perhaps the deepest question of all is what is ours to offer and reflect on so there is enough love like an ocean, to hold it, to hold us all. Because at the core of our hearts, at the core of this faith, at the core of beloved community is the hope like the poet sang to us today. It is kindness that holds back the storm around us, and it is love that will carry us home.
cotton in your ears, stone in your heart. Start where you are, ocean in your eyes. Tears are like rain inside a bigger sky. Oh, there is a change coming on. Oh, there is a chance to wake up to what is going on. Start where you are, thinking you know, falling on your face, you can see the road. Start where you are, wherever it is. Oh, loving can break your heart, but fear will do you in. Oh, there is a change coming on. Oh, there is a chance to wake up to what is going on. Start where you are. Start where you are. I say to myself, telling the truth is loving, even when it's hell. Start where you are. Stretch open your mind. Oh, that's how we'll come together. Or can we come together? 'Cause there is a change coming on. Oh, there is a chance to wake up to what is going on. Start where you are.
This is what we are made of. Peace like a river, tears like raindrops, pain like an arrow, joy like a fountain. May it all be held in love like an ocean. Amen.